Hello and welcome to The Appointment. I'm Pranjal Sharma. Joining me today for a conversation is Mr. Krishnamoorthy Rao, who's the CEO and MD of Future Generali Insurance Company. Mr. Rao, thank you very much for being on the show today. You are in several verticals and you know, as a general insurance company, you have been very active. Tell us, where is the company today in the Indian market?
Our company last financial year did around 1600 crores of business. If you look at market share, we are at around close to 2% of market share. And in the private sector, we have around 4.2% of market share. Basically, this is the 8th year of operation for the company. We have been making our presence felt, especially in the retail market. In the retail side, 70% of our total premium comes from the retail sector. And we have been able to get a decent name in the retail space because of our service levels.
But you have several focus areas. You have travel, you have motor, you have medical. So what are the sectors you see being important for the group in the experience so far?
In the retail side, the insurance, general insurance sector, maximum premium comes, almost 50% of premium comes from motor insurance. So our exposure also to motor insurance is around 55% of our total premium. And the second one will be health insurance. So these are the main areas where we concentrate and we try to grow our business.
What has been your experience here? I mean, how has the market changed for you in the last 8 years?
We started operations in 2008, and by that time the sector was a de-tariffed market, and we got into a de-tariffed environment where one of the issues with any de-tariffed market is the rate reduction that happens continuously. So we started our business in a very competitive market, but for us importance was to get established as a player in the market. So we started making our platform for servicing our agents and our customers. So that we built constantly. We innovated the service levels required for our customers, and that has brought us at least to this point as of now.
Mr. Rao, you're telling us about the partnerships in the auto sector. Now, the insurance and auto is all divided up between insurance companies and the automakers. Is that a really good way to move ahead? I mean, from the consumer's point of view?
There could be different opinions about this, but in many markets, the auto manufacturers do have a say in insurance, especially when somebody purchases a new car. So to make the experience for the customer seamless, the manufacturers tie up with insurance companies and provide insurance along with purchase of a car.
Which are the companies you have a partnership with?
We do have partnership with Hyundai, Nissan, Fiat, and Renault. So we are working on others. We hope in future we will be able to get in more types.
But does it make the market more competitive in terms of pricing, or does it make it more organized? What are the advantages of this?
It's more that the convenience to the customer. That is what at the point of purchase of the vehicle, he is able to get his insurance also done. So that is one advantage, because in all the cases there has to be an insurance policy for the RTO to register the vehicle. So insurance is available for him right there. Second is because each manufacturer will have more than one partner, and in many cases the minimum number is 5 or 6. So there is a competition already built in. So it's not that there is only one partner with whom they will be working.
Okay, so it doesn't get into a situation where people feel that it's like a cartel or a monopoly which is operating. What are the kind of growth that you expect for Future Generali in the coming days?
We are this year looking at crossing 2,000 crores of premium. That is around plus 20% growth of last year. So we are hopeful that we should be able to get.
So where do you expect this growth to come from? You said that motor is 50% or almost half of what you do in India. But what are the sectors or segments you see driving or becoming very exciting for you?
See, two things I believe will drive the growth. One is Last year, the general insurance sector growth was around 13%. Now, general insurance sector growth is closely tied to the economic growth. We expect that the economy should do much better this year. So that will result in the overall growth of the sector being maybe something above 15%. So we hope that this will add some growth to us in the normal course. Second, we are beefing up some of our channels to get us growth there. And the growth mainly will come from the retail sector. Maybe corporate also will add to some extent, but the retail sector, especially the motor insurance, health insurance and rural insurance as three areas we think we'll be able to grow.
When you say rural and others, it also means that you're going into markets where perhaps the price points and the market's ability to absorb the kind of products you have would be very different. So you will need to have a different strategy for urban areas and rural areas.
Yeah, definitely. Starting with distribution, we would be looking at distribution in a different way in rural areas. The government has established common service centers. This is one of the opportunities which a regulator has initiated for the insurance sector to look at. We have tied up with more than 2,000 common service centers in a few states, and we will be looking at more than 1 lakh in the coming 2 years' time. So this will give us a spread across many of the rural areas. So we will be selling the products which is designed for that sector, especially the rural products like microinsurance, personal accident, small health policies, and auto policies. So this will give us a good exposure to the rural market.
Mr. Rao, moving into non-urban areas is a very exciting development for most financial services companies. Even the urban market has several layers to it. But tell us what kind of products would be valid and working, and how do you see the market evolving here? Because they're very distinct regions.
The first challenge in the rural market is to create awareness about insurance. So one of the factors which will decide whether you will be able to sell your product or not is how do you make people aware that insurance can give them some sort of protection. So wherever we are looking at those type of markets, we work with players who are close to that market. It could be microfinance institutions or some NGOs who are working in those markets, who understand the market much better. So we work through them, try to understand what is the insurance requirement for the targeted people in that area, and then try to develop products suitable to that segment.
So can you give a couple of examples of how this is evolving?
For example, there is some agency in south based out of Chennai, which works in southern part of Tamil Nadu on bullock cart workers. So we have identified along with them that there is a need for them to insure against small health related ailments as well as personal accident. We have designed products for them, and we have been successful in marketing that through them. So this is one small example. Similarly, we are working with some agencies in some areas in Bengal, where we are looking at micro insurance product, which covers some of the agricultural equipments, the farm produce, and the houses of farmers, and try to market these products through such agencies.
But this is a great development, I think, for the country and as well as for the sector, because you're creating a completely new market. But how different is the experience of dealing with this new set of people, because their understanding and awareness of insurance products would be very different from those living in the city?
The advantage there is that once they are convinced that this is something which will help them when something unfortunate happens, they will be wholeheartedly supporting the initiative. So we have seen that moral hazard issues are very low, which is one of the pain points in some of the urban markets for insurance companies. And people, once they are committed, they would continue renewing their insurance policies. So that has been our experience.
But convincing them, that is the hard part.
Right.
So how do you convince them?
That is where we need to work with people who understand them better, who have been working with them for long. So through them we will be able to give them some sort of information or awareness about the need for insurance. Also, some of them who have suffered in the past, when they see that when a similar unfortunate event happens and the guy who has been insured gets immediate relief, that convinces other people. So we set an example. In some cases, if an unfortunate event happens, we settle the claim faster and make other people aware that such a thing has happened.
Is there a business case for your company to go into non-urban areas, or do you see this as taking, maybe cross-subsidizing it from other markets, or perhaps seeding the market with products where perhaps your cost of operation may be higher than the return?
The urban markets to a large extent are saturated. Competition is high, premium rates could be low. So in rural markets, one, you are trying to create a market, you are expanding the market. Thirdly, the regulator also has a requirement that each insurance company has to do a certain amount of business from rural areas. So by looking at the rural insurance, we will be able to satisfy the regulatory requirement, as well as we will be able to create new markets. And traditionally, the claims experience have been reasonably better in rural markets if you market the right products and service it in the right kind.
So you think the rural market claims is not as poor as people would believe?
Correct.
How do you make sure that, what is the mechanism through which you bring that culture and discipline, financial discipline?
The rural market, the one issue what everybody has to look at is the ticket size could be smaller.
Right.
Your operational cost could be higher. So you need to use technology as much as possible. You need to price your product correctly, which is affordable to the customer. But you need to create enough volume so that the thin margin you will be able to cover with larger volumes.
In this situation, it would be very interesting that you may have to create completely new products for the mid to rural, semi-urban to rural market. So are you going to create, or are you going to adapt existing policies?
In many cases, we need to create products because the existing products could be too costly for that segment to appreciate. So we need to create new products, and also the need requirement could be slightly different from the urban customers.
And this would again change from from what a customer in West Bengal needs is different from what a customer in Tamil Nadu needs.
That's true, but that change could be, you can adapt one product which you have marketed in Tamil Nadu, maybe with a little adaptation you will be able to market in West Bengal. It may not be a total change from the product what you have in the urban area.
But you see that becoming a larger part of your portfolio in the coming years?
We are targeting around 15% premium to come from this in the coming 2 years. We hope if we are able to do good penetration in successive years, we will reach as much as 30% of our premium coming from this.
Mr. Rao, you've talked about the move into the insurance sector into the rural areas, but even in the urban areas, are there segments which have not really taken off if you were to compare them with what's happening in global markets?
Yeah. The insurance penetration, if you look at in India, it's only 0.8% of GDP, whereas even in market like China, it is almost double, around 1.5%. So that means overall the general insurance penetration in India is quite low. Even in urban areas, there are products which hardly sell. For example, insuring one's home is something which most of the people in urban areas also do not think is something which they should do.
But why is that?
I would say that the lack of appreciation on the risk factors. People do not think that something can happen to their home.
I think the insurance industry has not managed to scare everybody.
May not be, I think to some extent you may be right, Pranjal, but what one needs to appreciate is the increasing natural calamities world over, even in India. If you look at earthquakes happening in different parts, the Chennai
But does it
floods.
make sense to then perhaps bundle it with a suite of other risk covers, so that, I don't want to buy 5 different policies, because for a consumer often the cost and the effort of maintaining insurance policies is pretty high, and for the average professional, that time is seen as a waste of time. You want to do it in the quickest, fastest way. So aren't there new innovative ways in which to be able to put it all together and make it very easy?
There are products in the market which is a combination of many of these things. Even the home insurance policy, homeowners policy, has many packages added to it. Other than the house, it covers the contents in the house. You can add the personal accident, you can cover your maid, servant, your driver. So there are a lot of sections which can be adopted. The challenge then is, if you keep on adding more and more things, the premium outgo could be big. So people may not appreciate that.
That is another problem.
That is another issue.
Tell me about technology. There are a lot of changes happening, and business models are being changed. The delivery and the claim is also being changed. What are the innovations in technology that your company is deploying for your customers?
For us, the important thing is, beyond a point, price will not be a factor for anybody to look at insurance. So what a customer will look at the end is how good is the service that he is getting from the insurance company. And for us, when we talk about service, one is the delivery of the policy, servicing the policy, and servicing of the claim. So all these areas we are looking at technology in a big way. We have been able to introduce point of sale policy issuance, where our agent will be able to issue policy right away to the customer. And actually, either it can be in a PDF form, or he can take a printout and give. So this has been enabled. The customer can purchase policy online. That facility is available. He can renew his policy online. And when it comes to claim, we starting from registration of a claim through our site or through a mobile application which we are launching. We even have introduced internally for our service engineers application where they can visit the accident site, take the photographs, and upload the photographs along with his observations, so that the claim turnaround time can be reduced significantly.
What are the products or the offerings in your global markets which are based on technology which could perhaps come to India soon? For example, the concept of pay as you drive is one which is being talked about, because auto industry and insurance companies are collaborating with the technology companies. So where are we on these kind of innovations?
This is something which pay as you drive, the concept has been piloted. We did a pilot in India. So we have collected data and worked on a pricing model. So we are waiting for the regulators' note for introducing such a product in the market.
So here I think the driver will, it's his or her premium is decided by the quality of their driving.
That's right. This basically, it can work as like your prepaid mobile, for example. You pay a premium in advance, and based on your usage of the vehicle, your driving pattern, your premium gets deducted on a daily basis.
So there's an incentive for better driving.
Yeah. If you drive in a better way, you use less use of your vehicle, you get a premium reduction accordingly.
That's a fantastic thing. But I think that brings me to the regulatory framework also. A lot of change, and the insurance regulatory environment has evolved rapidly. What are the next steps or next issues you would put on the agenda of the regulator in terms of further reforms?
Regulator, to a large extent, last few years have worked on the regulatory part. But if you look at the name of the regulator, there is a D also attached, which is the development.
Right.
Of late, we have seen initiatives from the regulator on that side. They come out with some initiatives on the distribution side. For example, the Common Service Centers initiative, which the regulator started. So things like that, which helps in development of the sector, that is something which I believe the regulator should give much more importance in the coming days.
You know, here development will also coming back on the technology issue. Now a lot of the payment systems are on wallets, and it could be digital payment. A lot of things are happening. Do you think that the entire ecosystem, the policymakers, the regulators need to now be more aware about the changes so that there's a more rapid deployment of innovation so that India can be at the same change wave as the rest of the world?
Right. Some of these systems, especially on the payment side, can help the industry very much. For example, we recently launched a health insurance product with installment premium. One can pay, if he takes 2-year or 3-year policy, he can pay premium even in monthly installments. When we tie up with a payment gateway, so the payment automatically can come from the through the payment gateway and the wallet. So life becomes much easier for the customer.
Mr. Rao, thank you very much for being with us on the show, and we look forward to further innovation from your group.
Thank you, Pranjal.